Firstly, before I start this video, I'm not going to mention any names, and I'm not attacking people personally. I'm just amazed by a revelation that came upon me yesterday after talking to someone on Facebook. That I, I can't believe I didn't know this, but, well, I kind of knew it in some cases, but I can't believe that I didn't. This realization regarding the full effect of this phenomena never hit me until yesterday evening when I started to think about it. What I discovered was, or what I was told was, that within the truth, this is what they call the truth scene, or the truth movement, or the truth element of alt media, huge numbers of both people involved as public speakers, broadcasters, and huge numbers involved as actual, what they would call truthers, are former Jehovah Witnesses. It was like, when I discovered that, it was like so many things I could never understand about that scene, and these people just came flooding into final resolution in my skull. It was like, Jesus, that explains them so well. Their black and white thinking, their digital Jehovah mindset, their zeal, their obsession with other people's private lives. I know people in this scene who are unbelievable womanizers in the alt media scene. They're fucking everything with a pulse. Adults, women, of course. Uh, Amazingly, I'm not one of them. I'm actually one of the most conservative and laid back of anyone in this scene in terms of my private life and things like that, even though I joke about things. And I often wondered why people somehow thought that me telling dirty jokes or having lots of beautiful women around me was somehow equal to me being some kind of Hugh Hefner. And I could never understand how they made that connection. Don't they understand jokes or satire, or don't they get things? And then it's dawned on me, they're Jehovah's Witnesses. So they're all caught up in that whole morality thing. And this is why they all human sexuality to them is somehow kind of an evil thing. I couldn't give a fuck about another person's private life. I know people out there who are banging everything, like I said, out of pulse, and but their work is good and I respect them. I know people out there that are banging everything out of pulse and their work is shit, but I don't give a fuck about their private lives. It doesn't irrelevant to me. I don't care. Someone's private life is none of my business. Unless they're breaking the law. But otherwise, it's, what consenting adults do among themselves, I don't give a shit. But yet so many of these so-called truthers are obsessed with that. Completely obsessed with that. And that comes from their Jehovah Witnesses background. This whole thing of everybody being, not being, serving Jehovah's a direct word in the Old Testament of the Jehovah Witnesses Bible. I'm amazed by this. It suddenly came flying in, this obsession with wasting seed, and how so many truthers think that normal sexual relationships between consenting adults is somehow a gateway to paedophilia. They can't seem to tell the difference. A man and a woman having consensual sex and paedophilia is often the same thing to many of these truthers. They can't distinguish between both. It's and that comes directly from this Jehovah Witnesses mentality they all have. Or so, if they have the Jehovah Witnesses broadcaster on an alt media radio show, then he or she influences the audience who may or not be ex-JWs themselves, and that's how it's all developed. This is how they are all obsessed with Jesus and fighting Satanism and seeing devils everywhere. I never understood that. It's like, are you a born again Christian? No. You start talking to them and they say they were either raised in a Jehovah's Witnesses family or they converted at some point. It's fucking amazing when you start thinking about it. Many of them. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses thing is basically a very interesting, very bizarre way to live. It just seems to have no function in life. It just has nothing to do with it. It's anti-joy. And you see that everything that you see it in the truthers, anything someone does that might be fun is automatically deemed to be evil or something, whether it's music videos, they can't distinguish. Like, Marina Abramovich, that's a classic one. She is just a conceptual artist who very cleverly has worked the elites to get herself a good career. Now, people show pictures of her with animal bones. Well, so what? She didn't. They're not baby bones. She's showing what goes on in abattoirs. This is the thing, and her body of work is enormous, and some of it is amazing. It's like really quite remarkable, and some of it is shite, like the Microsoft thing. That's a load of rubbish. There's nothing. I was actually quite disappointed in her when she did that. It's like we had this virtual reality shit for years now. What's the big deal? And but it's like she eats babies and boils babies, and this is all Jehovah Witnesses mentality. That everyone is deemed a sinner, and but that's also coupling that with a kind of a Calvinist mentality as well. That everyone, you see, the truth movement is extremely Presbyterian. It's very Calvinist, Jehovah Witness in its nature. Everyone is deemed a sinner until, or a devil worshipper, or in the league with Satan until they prove they're not. And you have a whole genre of this, everyone's a Satanist, everyone's a devil worshipper, everyone's a pedophile. And that all comes from the Jehovah Witnesses mentality, where they tell them that everyone outside the Jehovah Witness thing is evil. And you see the messianic zeal in some of them. And they embrace the flat earth thing, which is also, and then biblical as well. And then not only do they have to believe that the earth is flat, or convince themselves the earth is flat, or there's mud flood, or there's, these kinds of things, big trees, they then go on a messianic crusade to brainwash everyone else. And it's just fascinating to watch. Absolutely fascinating. And now I know there's lots of Jehovah Witness people who are very nice people. I'm not putting all down all Jehovah Witnesses, but the sect comes with a level of programming, and that programming is absolutely pure digital gin, black and white, no grey area thinking, saint or sinner, saved or damned, and that's the truther mentality right there, and why I never wanted anything to do with it. I went into, was on those shows and I've talked to those people, and from very early on, I could never understand this black and white thinking. Like everything, just, and this is how I smear campaigns fly so well in the truther world, because they can't. A normal person would say, well, maybe this could be bullshit, or maybe there's more to this, two sides to the story. Oh, maybe this is nothing, just blown out of proportion. Well, there's no proof without, where's the proof? They instantly believe it, and then they instantly go on a messianic crusade to share the bullshit that they believe. It's just amazing. And they could be following someone like anyone in alt media and loving their work, and then they see a hit piece and then they'll instantly stop following them or having anything to do with them. Not question if it's true or not investigating and not seeing if there was an agenda behind it. Oh no, 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 no! I can't do it anymore. That's the Jehovah Witnesses mentality again. Instant switch off, instant. And it's just fascinating to watch. And I wish I had known this 10 years ago, that so many of them are JWs or ex-JWs, or were raised in JW families. And I have a lot of respect for someone who escaped the Jehovah Witnesses upbringing and had basically a proper life path from that point onward. But I know from talking to them that they have to spend the rest of their lives literally fighting that inside them, because any authority figure becomes to them the elder. And just like in the church, you can't dispute the elders. And this is what happens with them. And anyone that you banish someone who's considered a sinner by the group, or has fallen from the path of Jehovah God. And you see that with the mom. You see them, like they'll be worshipping someone like, I don't know, anyone, David Icke or anybody. Oh, David this, David that, David this, David that. And then something will happen. There'll be a hit piece on him, or something. Well, someone will show a video that some asshole made about him, putting him down. And then they'll go, he's evil, I will expose him. It's amazing, isn't it? And that's where they get that from. That's where they get this. This is why they're obsessed with their whole. They can't see human sexuality as anything other than evil, or potentially evil, if it's not used for making children. And yeah, I mean, again, if you're an ex-JW and I'm not putting you down or anything. If you're raised in those families, it's not your fault. Your family was like that. But And even if you're a JW now, if you're a nice person, you're all right in my book. But I don't care, what your God is. But you do understand that that comes with a certain behavioral element. And that behavioral element is basically the operating software of the truth movement, unfortunately.